morning, my friends, and happy Friday. It's a beautiful day. It is so sunny and just gorgeous. What a lovely summer day. And ironically, we are making a necklace that's called Raindrops. Not that we're hoping for rain today. We had a big storm just 2 days ago. We've had a lot of raindrops. But we all love those beautiful summer rains that make our flowers grow, and they're just so pretty. So let's take a look. So this is what my Raindrops necklace looks like. So this is one of the colorways, and I call this colorway Sunrise. Well, for obvious reasons. Doesn't this just look like sunrise? And so here, I'm just going to put this down, although I do love it when it's hanging down because there's so much movement. It's not a very large necklace, you can see, you know, compared to my fingers. So this is maybe just 2 inches across, but I think it really makes a big statement. So I think it can really go, depending on the colorway, of course, it can really go from casual to actually very dressy and even appropriate for a formal occasion. For example, this one I called Midnight, and that is because I used the indigo crystals. These are Swarovski indigo crystals. And the spike crystal, so this is like a double terminated spike crystal, very similar to a Herkimer diamond. And this is in silver shade, which I think is just such an elegant color. So this is my more elegant color variation, and this one is just pure fun and joy. At least that's what it is in my world. So, as a little surprise, like really almost last minute, I also decided to make earrings for this, just because these spike crystals lend themselves so well to earrings. And also, I think if you're going for the more formal colorway, which is Midnight, I think sometimes it's nice to have coordinating earrings, and here they are.
Fonda says, good morning, everyone. Happy, beautiful Friday morning.
Good morning, Fonda, my friend. And yes, it is a beautiful Friday morning.
Kim C says, good morning, Irina, Tony, Lauren, and all.
Hi, Kim. It's so nice to hear from you.
Connie says, good morning, Irina, Tony, Lauren, and everyone. So happy to make the live.
Oh, yay. Hi, Connie. I'm so glad you're here, too.
Marianne says, good morning, Irina and Tony from hot Arizona.
Oh, good morning, Marianne. How hot is it today in Arizona? I'm just going to take a guess. I'm just going to say 105 degrees. I don't know. You tell me if I'm right. I'm probably wrong for the first time ever.
Betty says, good morning, you guys.
Good morning, Betty.
And Angela says, good morning.
Good morning, Angela.
And Ellen says, hi, Irina and everyone.
Hi, Ellen.
And
Good
Julie
morning.
says, hello.
Julie. All right, guys, so we just took a really good look at what we're making. So again, 2 colorways. We have the definitely more formal variation, and this is again Midnight, and then we have Sunrise. And today we're going to create another variation yet. And this one, I know exactly what I'm calling it. I am naming it for my very favorite food, and that is honey. So, you know, honey is just kind of warm, and it's this slightly neutral color. So I'm putting all my little honey components on my workspace, and this is what the spike looks like. Isn't that just absolutely beautiful? So the actual color, the actual Swarovski color, is Golden Shadow, and I'm sure that a lot of you are familiar with this. So the spike is in Golden Shadow, and the bicones are actually not Swarovski, but Preciosa. Yes, in some colors we are running out of Swarovski, and we are replacing with Preciosa, but we still have these gorgeous spikes. So the bicone in the 4 millimeters, and again, this is a Preciosa color, and it is actually called Honey. And I feel that it just goes so beautifully with the Golden Shadow. It's just a tiny, like it's a quarter of a shade lighter, and it's just so very, very pretty.
Carol says good morning to all.
Good morning, Carol.
Lonnie says good morning. Just watched last night's video. So glad to see the earrings at the end.
Oh, yay! Thank you so much, Lonnie. I know you are an earring kind of girl, as am I. I love earrings. You know, if I'm not wearing any other jewelry, I always wear earrings. I just feel a little bit naked without them.
Barb says good morning.
Good morning, Barb. So I'm just unwrapping this wire. Bonnie did such a great job wrapping it. I feel badly unwrapping. All right, guys. So this is 24 gauge wire.
Ellen says very sweet and delicate.
Oh, thank you so much, Ellen. It's just kind of a really fun necklace for summer. I don't know about you guys, but it seems like my summer jewelry is just a little bit smaller, a little bit more fun, and definitely more colorful.
Amy says good morning. Happy Friday.
Good morning, Amy, and happy Friday. All right, guys. So we're going to make a few wrapped loops, and I'd like to talk about making wrapped loops. I know we talk about it a lot, but I don't know. It's never really too much because it's such a great staple. So to make a nice wrapped loop, you want to start out with a good 90-degree angle, nice and crisp. I think I'm going to move at least one of these necklaces just to give us a little bit more room. And we'll move the earrings as well. And this way I can get just a little bit closer to the camera. All right, guys. So I will be using my bail making pliers, which I absolutely love for this project, because while I do use my different pliers, I use my round nose pliers a lot, but generally it's like when I just have to make 1 or 2 loops, it doesn't matter if they match. But whenever I have a number of loops where I really want them to be the same diameter and the same shape, I really prefer my Wubbers, my bail making pliers. And this time I'm using the small bail making pliers, but the larger side of the bail making pliers. As you can see, there are 2 cylinders. One is slightly larger than the other, and that allows us to make 2 different shapes of loops with this pair of pliers.
Pammy J says good morning to all.
Good morning, Pammy J, and I'm so glad you're joining us. All right, guys, so as usual, we're going to start by making half a loop. Always just half a loop, or like a little question mark, you can see that. And we're going to simply cross over with our fingers. And let's see, yeah, we have symmetry, and that's really all we're looking for. So before we finish wrapping this loop, we are going to sneak one of these little tiny drops right into the loop. These are pretty teeny. They're super, super cute. You've seen them in other projects. Well, actually, one other project. It is this project. I actually grabbed it. It's the anklet, which we sold out of, but maybe we'll make some more. This anklet was super, super popular, and given that it's summer, maybe we should just make some more. But so this is a kind of a different look today that we're making, with a little bit more length and more movement. So So I have strung my teeny little drop onto my loop, and now I'm just going to hold on to the loop and simply make a couple of coils with my fingers. So because I started out with such a good crisp 90-degree angle, it is very, very easy for me to make this little coil and have each coil so close to the next. The more crisp the angle that you start out with, the more you will find that this is just so easy. All right, so now I will string my spike bead on here.
Robin Lisa says good morning, a little late.
Good morning, Robin Lisa. You know what? We just started out. And in fact, I will actually repeat this step one more time just for fun, just for anybody who is joining us right now. And so we're going to start the same process on this end, leaving just like 1 millimeter right there, just for the coil. And again, I will use my bail making pliers, the larger side of the bail making pliers, and let's see if our loop is centered. And yes, so now we are ready to coil. So so you might be thinking, why would we want to put the drop into the loop on the first loop versus the second loop? And yes, we could do it on either loop. It honestly does not matter. But I have found that if I don't do it on the first loop, sometimes I forget to do it by the time I am on the second loop. So for that reason, I usually just sneak it in there on the first loop, and then I'm happy.
Marianne says it's 90 degrees at 7 a.m. and going to be 113 later today.
Oh my goodness, Marianne, that is nice and toasty. I hope you have a pool.
Katie says good morning. I'm late too.
Good morning, Katie. I'm just glad you are joining us this very beautiful morning. All right, guys, so the same exact thing. We are just sneaking that little drop into the loop and then making the coils on the loop. And so I usually just go for a couple of coils, but you know, however many coils you like, that is fine. And of course, we're always going to tuck in that little wire end so that it doesn't scratch anybody, doesn't poke anybody, doesn't catch on your clothing. And now we're going to string our bicone onto the wire and do the very same thing. So we're going to in fact do this with all of our bicones, right? So we're going to start out, or maybe not start out, but at some point we're going to do the same thing with our spike bead as well as our bicones. And one thing I would like to point out as I'm doing this, so as you can see, I always bend the wire in the same direction as my loop so that the wire is parallel to the first loop, and this way I'm going to get a loop at the top that matches the direction of the loop at the bottom. And if I'm not quite matching the direction, I can always course correct a little bit by adjusting with my chain nose and my flat nose. But if I start out in the same direction, then I really don't even need to adjust. But just in case if you do have to adjust, I will show you exactly how to do that in just a moment. But in the meantime, I will cut off the excess wire and again tuck in that little end. And so just in case, if you ever do need to adjust, it's very, very simple. You would just hold your one loop with a flat nose and the other loop with a chain nose. And look, let's pretend that we started out just slightly lopsided, right? So it's very easy to just hold on to both loops at the same time and give them a little tweak until they're completely parallel. And this is something that's going to make your necklace look so much more professionally made. All right, guys. So in the meantime, I did pre-make the rest of these little components with our raindrops that are already incorporated in that loop. And that, of course, is going to be the bottom loop. So now we are going to grab our jump rings, and so we're using these small jump rings for this. And initially, when I first started working on this necklace, I was actually just going to wrap right into the chain. But, you know, I really did not like how it looked. It did not hang the same way. It didn't have the same type of movement. So, in terms of aesthetics, it made me much happier when I tried it with the jump rings. So we're using the jump rings for this one. And so we have a length of chain, and you can make this up to 20 inches. Actually, it's a little bit more than 20 inches because of the clasp. But the chain itself is 20 inches. So if you want a necklace that is shorter than 20 inches, this is probably a great time to cut off any excess wires. So any excess chain. So I am actually cutting off about 2 inches, and someday this will become a beautiful little extender for something else. But in the meantime, I am leaving this necklace at about 18 inches plus the clasp.
Lonnie says your new manicure is nice.
Oh, thank you so much, Lonnie. I really appreciate it. All right, guys. So we're going to start opening all of our jump rings because it's just easier to open them all at once and then connect all of the components. And yes, you do have a couple of extra jump rings here, so I am not necessarily going to open all of them, but I'm thinking just 8 is what I need to open. So it's the flat nose and the chain nose that we're going to need in order to open our jump rings. So I always, and it doesn't really matter which one you have in your dominant hand, and it's really whatever you are comfortable with. So I just happened to grab it this way, but honestly it was not planned, and as long as you have a flat nose and a chain nose, or maybe 2 chain noses, either will work very, very nicely. So here we go. I have just opened my 8 jump rings, and I'll set these 2 aside. You always have like a little extra jump ring or 2 just in case if one of them gets lost in the couch cushions. All right, guys. So now we're going to decide exactly where the center of our necklace is going to be. And so this chain, it's really such a beautiful chain. It's like this elongated Rollo, and it makes a very nice extender chain that's already built in. So what I'm going to do is just pull one of the ends so it's a little bit longer than the other end. So I like my extender chain to be about 2 inches in length. And so this is going to be my built-in extender chain. So here is a link that is in the center. And first thing I'm going to do is just put a jump ring into that link, and we're going to define where our center is, the center of our necklace. So now, what goes in the center? Well, of course, our focal point component, and that is the Swarovski spike bead component. So now we're going to use the flat nose and the chain nose. And of course, as we close our jump ring, did you hear that little click? That's awesome, because of course that metal on metal sound tells us that we have no space between the two sides of the jump ring. And once we have one component in, the rest becomes very, very easy, because all we do is just we skip every other link. That's it. And the only other thing you have to keep track of is you have to be on the same side of the loop all the time. So here, let me close the jump ring, and then I will show you what I mean by that.
Pammy J says, so sad I can't see any comments.
Oh no, is there
Maybe
something
try
going
rebooting.
on? Yes, try rebooting.
Reloading, sorry.
Yeah, so is it, are you saying it's on our end, or is it
I think it's on Pammy J's end, because I can see comments on the
Oh, gotcha. Okay, well, good luck.
And Lauren can too.
Well, I know it's so much more fun when you're able to see comments, because, you know, I think of this as a community. What makes it really fun for me, and I know it's the same for you guys, is that we're all interacting. It's not like you're just watching a video that happened a year ago. But, so let us know, Pammy J, if you were able to fix it. So, so as you can see, I'm making sure that I'm keeping my components at the bottom of the chain, or what I have defined as the bottom of the chain. And then, of course, here's the top of the chain, and there's nothing attached to the top of the chain. So as long as you always keep your components on the same side, your necklace will be absolutely beautiful. And I'm just going to continue adding my components. So tell me in the comments if you guys have ever used these spike beads, and if so, what did you use it for? Because I think they're such a stunning bead, and they're a little bit underused. So I'm just going to continue adding jump rings. And so what these jump rings do, as opposed to just connecting the loops directly to the chain, is they just kind of make everything hang really beautifully. They add a little movement, but they also add a little space, and I think they just make everything look right. Okay, and you can see how this is a very, very quick project. It's coming together so quickly. So I'm almost there. Just one more. Let's see, are we all on the same side? Yes, we are all on the same side. So one more component, and then I have a little tip, because, you know, sometimes our components, especially when they're not like a completely three-dimensional shape, when they're a little bit flat, like our spike component, sometimes they tend to kind of turn a little bit. Although I will say, when they're against your chest, they have no place to go but lay flat. So that's a nice thing to know. But let's say you want to make the full length and you want to make it 20 inches. And now, wait, did I put one of, yeah, I put one of them on, well, not only on the wrong side, but I actually put it in the wrong loop. But you know what? No harm done, because it is just so easy to open our jump ring and put it into the correct loop, as long as I can find the opening.
Fonda says, I made a bracelet with this similar technique and I kept having to take my dangles off and reconnect them to the right side.
Oh, yeah, it happens, right? Just as you saw, it just happened to me. If you're not like really paying attention.
Mary says, I'm hoarding them, working on my garden, and in August my son is getting married.
Oh, well, you know what? They do have this kind of a very formal appearance, or they can. So what I was going to say is that, so for me, this is fine. You know, I do know that it can be a little bit flip-floppy as it's hanging, but again, it will lay nice and flat against your chest. But if it bothers you a little bit, that it has this tendency to turn back and forth, what we can do is we can always use a little extra jump ring, and you do have extra jump rings, as I mentioned. So, you know, it's just an option. It's not something that I did for my sample, but it's okay, so I'm trying to hold it toward the camera, and I just really cannot. So I will hold it towards me, and then I will show it to you. So this is what I'm doing. I'm simply attaching one more jump ring that is going to hold the spike component in place.
Marianne says, I have the spiky ones and made a Halloween necklace with them. I prefer the round ones.
Yes, you know, the spiky, not only are they very elegant, but they also are just like a little bit edgy. So they do have that edge, and depending on the color, I can see how they would really lend themselves to some type of a Halloween project. So, so this one so now it has two jump rings. So what do you think? It's not like the others. It's now hanging. It's now hanging by two jump rings, and the other option, and I think I may have exercised the other option, is if you want to elongate this a little bit, I have my other option, which, as you can see, I made a jump ring, or sorry, I didn't make a jump ring, but I used an extra jump ring to make the spike component just a little bit longer. So if you like that just tiny little bit of extra length, then just add an extra jump ring. Wait, I think I may have done this for both of these. So I think this was my original idea, but you know, sometimes ideas are fluid. So what do you guys think? Do you like it better with two jump rings where it's used one jump ring at a time and it's a bit longer? Or do you like it when it's two jump rings together? Let me know, please. So this is what this looks like. I know it's a very, very subtle difference. But, you know, it's jewelry. Every little bit matters, right? Okay, so now all we have to do is just finish our necklace. And by the way, what do you think of this honey color? I know it's a very subtle one, right? I think it's very pretty, it's very elegant, it's very feminine.
Fonda says, I like the center longer.
Okay, so yeah, so maybe my first idea was the better one, and who knows, maybe I will swap this out a little bit later. I think I'm leaning towards the slightly longer one also. And in fact, you know, if you wanted to add even an extra jump ring, like 3 jump rings, that would work as well. All right, so now I'm looking for my my clasp. Oh, and it's right here. So we're going to use another jump ring and attach that little lobster clasp via the jump ring. So even though these are very small, but they're very mighty. They're mighty little jump rings. They hold on to your pieces very well. Oh, but except this is the longer side. So we don't want to put this on the longer side. We are going to attach it to the shorter side. Always, we're going to put the clasp on the shorter side of the chain, and this way the longer side of the chain can be the extender.
Marianne says, how about 2 jump rings to hang lower with the other 2 on the chain?
Why not? Absolutely. You can absolutely do that. And you know, that is the beauty of it, because we can do this in any way we want to.
And Ellen says 2 jump rings together adds oomph, and the honey color is nice.
Oh, thank you so much, Ellen. I'm so glad you like it.
Amy says, I like the honey color.
Thank you, Amy. You know, I love this honey color. I don't know if it's because I love honey so much, but I do love honey.
And Robin Lisa says, I like the honey color. I made one similar with pearls.
Oh, cool. Yes, this would be very nice with pearls as well. So I just put my little bicone guy on the ball pin and leaving a tiny little bit of space just for the wrap. I'm going to make a 90-degree angle. And of course, we have done this like 4 million times at this point, so you know exactly what I'm going to do. So I am using my round nose pliers this time, only because I'm going for a smaller loop. Oh, and something I forgot to mention with making these loops, the reason I went for a slightly larger size in the loop is, of course, because we are stringing that little drop into the loop, and I feel that that looks better with a larger loop.
Kim C says, love the crystal golden shadow, in parentheses, honey. I designed, created jewelry for a wedding in this crystal, and it was fabulous. Everyone still wears their jewelry as it goes with so many things, casual to dressy.
Oh, fantastic. You know, I love it when you make, and you know, first of all, it's so special and so personal that you made jewelry for somebody you love. And in this type of jewelry, if you can wear it after the wedding, if it's not so specific to the wedding, it's just so special because it reminds you of that beautiful occasion. And I feel like this is so elegant. I feel like it would be a perfect piece maybe for bridesmaids, possibly for a bride, depending on the dress. So these, you know, again, depending on the colorway, I probably would not use, unless of course it's a beach wedding somewhere in Hawaii or somewhere tropical, and then of course my sunrise colors would be great, but mostly not. But the other 2 colorways, honey and midnight, would lend themselves so well to a wedding or a different formal occasion. Although, as you can see, they're casual enough where you can picture any of these with a pair of jeans.
Fonda says, I love the honey color too.
Oh, yay. Thank you so much, Fonda. Is that your favorite? All right. So in the meantime, guys, we do have a little bonus project. It's the earrings. So I'm just going to make 1 earring right now. And first, let me show you the earrings. So this is what an earring, wait, did I? Wow, I think I made an extra, yes, I did make an extra little dangle. I kind of confused myself for a second, but I guess we'll just use this for something else entirely. Well, maybe an earring. Can we use this for an earring? I think yes. All right, so this dangle is exactly the same as our necklace dangles, right? So we're just going to incorporate it into our earrings, which again look like this. So
Fonda says, I'm having a hard time picking a favorite with this project.
Oh, thank you. I'm so glad, Fonda. I think, well, of course, they're all my babies, but I have to tell you that this really vibrant one, the sunrise color, I think that may be my favorite. At least in the summer. In the winter, I'm sure I would have a different favorite. So this is what our earrings look like. And as you can see, the bottom dangle is exactly the same, but then we have some additional movement with the extra drops. So let's see how we're going to incorporate it into our earring. So we have the wire, and as usual, we're going to make a 90-degree angle, and I am still working with the larger side of my veil making pliers, and there's my loop. And before I finish wrapping my loop, I'm going to string everything that I want in that loop, because again, you know, I may forget if I get to the top loop, so it's always best to just do it now. And so what I did is I have already strung the little drop and then my entire dangle, right? And now that is going to be followed by another little drop. So this is what we have so far. It's kind of fun already, but wait, there's more. Okay, so now I'm just going to make a couple of little coils. And always tuck that little end in. Because you know our mantra, we are not making weapons, we're making jewelry.
Rita says, hi, everyone.
Good morning, Rita. I'm glad you're joining us. All right, guys. So for anybody who is just joining us, we have made the necklace and now we're making the earrings. So I have my spike bead, and I'm going to, of course, make another 90-degree angle. And because I'm attempting to make it in the same direction as the initial loop, I just looked at the initial loop and I'm going to try to line them up really nicely.
Rita says, love the bracelet you are wearing.
Oh, thank you so much, Rita. Did you watch last night's video? Because it's actually from last night's video. I'll show you all the bracelets from last night's video. And the bracelet that I'm wearing is called, it's called Painted Desert. And, okay, so now I'm making the top loop, and we will just wrap nice and snug, however many coils you can fit in. It just happened that I left a tiny bit more room, and so I ended up with 3 coils, and that is perfectly fine. What I'll do is I'll just make sure to do the same thing when I make the second earring. And again, I will tuck this in. Okay, so almost done, but not quite. So I really like the look of these extra jump rings. They just add something, I don't know, a little more movement, a little bit more sophistication. So we're going to do the same. We're going to need 3 jump rings, and I'm also going to grab an ear wire. And I'm essentially treating these jump rings as more of a component rather than a finding that connects things, right? Even though, of course, they're going to be connected to one another and then to the ear wire. So I like to pre-open all my jump rings. Just makes it a little easier, more efficient, I guess, as I start connecting.
Elizabeth is giving you the thumbs up.
Oh, thank you so much, Elizabeth. So you heard the little click, so we know it's nice and closed. And the next jump ring is going to be parallel to the first one. So both of the jump rings connect to the top loop right above the crystal component, the spike component. And so here are my 2 jump rings, as you can see. And my next jump ring is going to go through both of them. So here we're connecting to both of the jump rings. And at the same time, I'm just going to string my ear wire on, because why open it later when we can just string it right on? And just close the jump ring. And now we have a raindrops earring in the honey color to match our necklace. All right, guys, so this is what we made. We made the earrings, and we have those in 3 different colors. Of course, the honey color has not been listed yet. In either of the earrings, you know, I like these side by side. They're just, I don't know, there's something about them. They just make me happy.
Connie has a good question. Regarding the Opalon stretch cord from last night,
Oh, yes.
does it need to be pre-stretched before stringing?
Connie, that's a wonderful question. I'll play with my bracelets if you guys want to see them as we talk about these bracelets. So Opalon is this stretchy material. I do not pre-stretch it. I don't know if anybody else does, but I don't. And as you know, if you watched last night's video, you know that I have been wearing, I don't have the bracelet that I've been wearing for a while, but I talked about it last night. I've been wearing it for maybe about a year, and it has not done anything that I don't want it to do. So it hasn't stretched out any further. So in my experience, you really do not have to pre-stretch it. But you know, I'm glad you mentioned Opalon. And I am very excited that now it comes in black color like this, as well as the white. But one thing, I don't remember whether I mentioned it or not. So one of the reasons that Opalon is my favorite stretchy material is because it's so small and collapsible. It doesn't look so small. When you take it out of the packaging, look, it looks very substantial, but it's almost like a ribbon, right? So it's flat and it will collapse. And so because it collapses like that, it can go through beads that I'm specifically pointing at my moonstone beads. It can go through beads with very small holes, like these moonstone beads are drilled really tiny, and yet it will go through. So there's really no other stretchy material that I have found that will do that, that will go through these little teeny beads, except maybe there's this one that's made in 0.5 millimeters. So it's 0.5 millimeter and it's pretty thin, but I just really don't feel that it's as durable.
Lonnie says fun earrings, inspiring.
Oh, yay. Thank you so much, Lonnie.
Connie says thanks so much and sends a heart.
Oh, my pleasure, Connie, and thank you for asking the question.
Marianne says, I love all the colors. I can't decide.
Oh, yay. Thank you so much. So, yeah, I guess, well, you'll just have to make that decision, right? Or else you can order all 3. But I feel like if you're thinking a little bit more elegant, a little bit more dressy, it's either the honey or the midnight. And again, so the reason I call this midnight is because I don't know if you guys can tell, and I'm just saying this so that you don't think that it's black. I tried it with black. I was not happy with the black. I don't know, somehow it just did not make me happy. But the indigo really made me very, very happy. I think it just goes super well with the silver shade. But if you're thinking, I want to wear it with a little black dress, I would absolutely wear it with a little black dress, even though it's not black. As you know, nothing really has to match. And this is really close. It's so close to being black that most people who look at it think it's black, but it's actually not. All right, guys, and of course, here is our third necklace, and this one is Sunrise. Well, because it's in the colors of sunrise. And I believe that's all, except of course for the preview. So as you know, we like doing these previews just so we can have a little hint of what's to come, or maybe a big hint of what's to come. And this is bamboo bracelet, I should say. And this is what we're doing next week. So it is a knotted bracelet. And I have been on this bracelet stacking kick lately. I think all of us have. It's like we have this whole mini sleeve of bracelets, right? And it's just so very fun. And so this one, even though it's not stretchy, but it kind of really goes with its stretchy friends. So I might not necessarily wear 4 stretchy bracelets. I might just wear maybe just 2 or 1. And then I would maybe wear a bamboo bracelet with it. So this is, see, this looks much more in proportion. And I will have these in different colors.
Amy says, love the bamboo bracelet.
Oh, thank you, Amy. You know, I'm just so pleased with this bamboo bracelet. It's just so very me.
Rita says, beautiful collection.
Thank you so much, Rita. But
And
wait, there's more.
And Ellen is wondering when the bamboo kit will be available.
Ellen, thank you for asking. So our kits are always available either the day before or the day of, like the morning of the video. So, so the bamboo bracelet will be available definitely by Thursday. So Thursday is the day of the video, and if you want, you can look for it Wednesday evening. Actually, no, not Wednesday evening. No, Thursday, sometime on Thursday. And in all likelihood, we will have other colors as well.
Connie says, I love the bamboo bracelet too.
Oh, thank you so much, Connie. And here's my other preview piece for next week. And this is called Lotus. And this is very kind of minimal, yet with a lot of color packed in. So this is, to me, well, the nature of a lotus. It's very meditative. So it's, I think it's really saturated in terms of color. What's really fun about this is you get to use this little lotus frame, and yes, it is a frame. It's not just, I wish I could say through magic I got that little turquoise bead in there, but no, it's a little frame, very little kind of a minimalist frame, and I think it's very elegant and casual at the same time, and it's just very rich. It has a lot of detail. So that is our centerpiece. And that, I believe, my friends, is all for today. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you for all of your wonderful comments and your questions. And I will see you next week. In the meantime, Tony has something else. Oh my goodness, yes. Don't forget that it's Father's Day this Sunday. So have a wonderful Father's Day. I hope all the fathers in your life have a great day.
Amy says,
and you with them.
Amy says thank you, and Marianne says thank you again. Connie says beautiful.
Thank you so much, ladies.
Lonnie says thank you for the demoed inspiration. Hope you have a great weekend. And Fonda says thank you.
Thank you so much, guys. So I hope you have a beautiful weekend. Of course, a beautiful and creative weekend as always. And happy Father's Day. I will see you next week.